Hey everybody, Mark here again with ExoticCar PlayPlace. Firstly, I want to thank you guys. Thanks to those that have subscribed because I've seen a sudden surge in subscribers, and I want to thank all you guys that have tagged and want to stick around and watch my videos. Like I said, I've seen some sudden growth lately, and I love it. It makes me feel good. I can see the channel going up and going in the right places. So today's topic, really, we're going to talk about the new BMWs versus the old BMWs. And what I'm talking about is the nitty-gritty of engine sound. And I know there's been a lot of controversial discussion around the idea of natural versus unnatural sounds produced by the engine. Now, it's not a big secret. A lot of you have probably heard some manufacturers been doing this for a while. For example, Porsche has been moving in the Panamera. Their newer models have been synthesizing the sounds coming from the engine. Volkswagen's got a system that lately they've also done some similar items where they've created an artificial sound through the stereo system that makes it sound like you're actually accelerating and you can hear the engine inside the car, but it's really a synthesized version. It's not even really the engine you're hearing. You're actually hearing an electronic version of that. Ford's done similar things, more mechanical. But now we're really talking about BMW, and let me just say that this is not a new game for BMW. BMW did not create this in the new M5, but part of the reason you'll all know if you've been watching my channel that I'm a lover of the E60 M5. That is the last V10 generation that produced 510 horsepower, but it was a naturally aspirated V10 engine, and it sounded amazing. It actually still sounds amazing, and I'll show you. Check it out. So I hope you like that little clip. See, that's an example of the older generation, the V10 BMW M5. Before that, you also had the E39, and a lot of people love that because it had a very raw, natural sound from the V8 that it produced, and it was just to die for. The old cars had that sound. Also what has that sound is, for example, Lamborghini Gallardo, Huracan. Why? Well, they're naturally aspirated V10 engines. Also producing intense sounds, Ferrari 458s, but even more so in, say, for example, the 430s, the 360s, even a 355 had some of the best sounds and some of the sounds to die for, but we're not talking about those today. Those really are just a parallel I'm trying to draw to say it's the older cars, the older generations that produced a very natural sound. Now, here we are in 2017, and manufacturers are trying to satisfy customers. Customers that generally are well-to-do. When you're talking about new Porsches, new Ferraris, even new high-end BMWs of the M variety, these people generally have a few more expendable dollars floating around, and they want a car that's nice to drive, is comfortable, quiet, refined. That's all super. The unfortunate part in that is to get that refinement, a lot of times these manufacturers are producing cars with extra exhaust muffling. They produce cars that remove all wind noise. They produce cars that remove all of the engine noise from the exhaust, as well as tire noise, road noise. They put extra sound deadening in the fender wells, in around the car itself and the cabin. They do take all kinds of measures to ensure the car is quiet. Well, that's great, but sadly enough to say, for those enthusiasts that love to hear the sound of a supercar full chat, you've lost a lot of that sound. A lot of the new cars, for example, the newer M5, and I'll talk about the F10 for example, since the F10 is effectively what replaced the E60, the F10 with its twin turbo V8 is a spectacular performer. It beats the E60 in virtually every factor on paper. What it doesn't beat the E60 on is the sheer exhaust note and the ferocity at which it delivers its sound and engine performance. It's a totally different experience. And so even if you watch some of my other videos, it's not all about normally aspirated. It's about the old technology, the focus on a raw mechanical car. For example, a Porsche 930. So You could see a Porsche 930 was a turbocharged car, but Porsche knew how to package it. It was a very basic raw car that was all mechanical, and it produced some really phenomenal sounds. So we all know there's some great sounding cars out there, and the E60, sadly enough to say, was the last variant of a real natural sounding car, because now BMW has gone into turbocharging, and you know what happens with turbocharging? Yes, you get more power, but the turbo itself acts like a muffler. So you're getting a car that's muffled through the turbo, it's muffled additionally through cats and everything else, because it's to satisfy noise regulations, it's to satisfy rich clients that want a car that's comfortable and quiet. So what you really effectively wind up with is a car that's extremely fast, but you can't hear it. That's not unlike a Tesla. I think there's a lot of people out there that love the Tesla. Have you ever heard of Tesla lately? Yeah, me neither. They don't make noise. All you do is hear the fine whine of the electric motor and the wheels turning on the road. You lost that growling sound. Also, if you checked out a video of mine, the recent review I did of the Corvette Z6, another fine example of a car that's pure raw mechanical. Supercharged, yes. Extreme noise, yes. So, those are great examples. Lexus did this in the LFA. BMW has been doing that in some of the M cars to knock down some of that sound. This has been done by Volkswagen and Ford. Even Porsche is looking at doing that in some of their cars. So, really all I'm saying, everybody, is what is the best way to go? I mean, technology in some of the new cars, for sure it's better. More power per liter because you're turbocharging. The car's more fuel efficient, more powerful, it's faster in most cases. They're all great attributes. However, the overall driving experience is often lost because of some of these elements. The sound of, have you ever driven like an even basic car, bare bones car? We'll talk about a Lotus Elise, for example, or a Lotus Exige. Very basic car, stripped down mechanicals. But it makes noise, and that's a beautiful thing. It's those mechanical, you know, hear the whining of the gears. You hear the engine screaming and the revs, and you can almost hear the drivetrain just ticking away. Very mechanical. We've lost that in today's car, and sadly enough, I don't see that going away anytime soon. We're at the point now where we're synthesizing, we're imitating, we're faking the actual experience. It's getting to a point where there's auto drive, auto cruise control. You're simulating through electronics the sound of the car. What's next? Autopilot, go to sleep and wake up at your destination? I'm not sure. They're all great attributes by a lot of these modern day cars. I just think that some of these manufacturers have sort of lost touch with what really counts to the person that really wants that experience. And that experience is hard to come by today. I also did a review on a Jaguar FType R. Oh! There's an example that's true exhaust note. Yeah, you can open up a set of baffles or close them and make it a little louder, a little quieter, but ultimately it's still heavily, largely a mechanical car, and the exhaust note is ferocious on that car. Probably one of the best exhaust notes that I've ever experienced, as a matter of fact. It's just an amazing sound. So, this takes us back ultimately to the E60 if we're talking about comparisons. Why do I like the E60 so much? Well, the looks, they're stealthy but aggressive. The sounds, for sure, is truly the benchmark car in my mind, as was the previous generation 911s, the air-cooled 911s. We know they're very popular. People love those cars. And there's a lot of reasons for that. You hear people talking about enthusiasts in the 911 world, talking about the sound of that air-cooled engine where you can really hear the valve train ticking away. That's really kind of takes you back to the true mechanical nature of some of these engines. Again, this isn't to say one is better than the other, but I'm just saying, in your opinion, what do you think is the best way to go? We all know that they all bring something great to the table, but what truly is the best way? Let's fake it, put some electronic sounds in your ears, or do we want to drive a car that is truly mechanical? When the roof goes down, you can still hear that raw mechanical. Obviously, some of these cars that are synthesized, you drop a rooftop down on some of them that happen to be convertible, not on an M5, of course, by the way. But on some of these cars that are synthesized, you put the roof down and a lot of that sound goes away because you're blowing away. A lot of it's dissipated throughout the air with the roof down. You do not lose that on a mechanical car. So everybody, that's my thoughts on this. I don't think the modern car is a bad thing. I think the technology is taking it to a new great place. I just think some of the manufacturers need to possibly relook and rethink of some of these little pieces, these little details, and not use the sound synthesis as the makeup or the afterthought to give you that experience. Let's give that experience on the front end with true mechanical sounds, guys. Anyway, everybody, I really hope you liked that video. In short, do make sure you subscribe, like, comment, and drop me a note, a line, ask me any questions below. If you have anything you want to ask me or any of my experiences, I'd love to share it with you guys. So thanks again, and we'll talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.